Hello friends, I'm back again doing another speedrun re-watch commentary thing. I just got back to any percent, or at least it feels like I just got back to the any percent category after getting the world record in 99%. And I got it again, any percent this time, so great. Quick reminder of what any percent is. You just got to beat the game. We're starting the timer at 2 minutes and 35 seconds so that we don't have to watch the intro cutscene, which takes about 2 minutes 35 seconds. So it makes resetting a lot easier, starting a run faster. It's just way more enjoyable that way, and it barely makes a difference, so we do it that way. You'll see on my splits here, my current PB is a 1:07:10, or at least my PB at the time of this recording was that. I also have goal splits, which are still the same goal splits as I had last time I did any percent, and it's just sort of like an arbitrary time save. Basically, if I beat a level faster than my goal, that just means it was a good level, and that's pretty much it. So if I have all good levels throughout the entire game, I will get a 1:06:16. But of course, that basically means I played perfectly, and you'll always make some mistakes. So I won't always stay ahead of goal. But yeah, beating the game as fast as possible. Smashing Start and Have a Nice Day are pretty standard levels that went reasonably well. I think the sheep herding was a little bit slow in Have a Nice Day, but it's not really up to you. So I did a pretty decent job, I guess. And then there's Honeymoon Lagoon here, cycle-based level, because you have to go up the elevator at the end. I cannot get the best cycle. I've never gotten the best cycle. I might have almost gotten it once, but yeah, AC is the only person who can get it with reasonable consistency. So each cycle costs about 12 seconds. So I do this level 12 seconds slower than AC does, but I do it. So the elevator just went up, and now I just have to wait for it. So I never get that earlier cycle. But yeah, this trick here is Leap of Mouse. We do it in Silver Evo and any percent. It lets us skip playing as the sheep. The sheep is, of course, slow, whereas the mouse is fast. This is a lot more difficult, maybe, than it looks, because the teleporter will try to push you off the platform as much as possible. So you have to angle yourself appropriately so that you land beside the teleporter. Anyway, this is my PB, which basically means I, of course, got it first try. Nifty little push here to push the ram as close to the bridge as possible as the mouse. So if you do a really fast kill, then you will be able to aggro the racing dog at an earlier point in its path, and that's of course faster. So right, it should be just rounding the corner into the barn here. Yeah, so I go to the right a little bit so that I can control its movement so that it goes the direction I need it to. And then 9 headbutts here, 6 plus 3. Killing it in that position is quite good because now it's off screen, and if the dog is on screen while you're hitting the switch moves slower. It creates lag, and it's not great. So we try to get the dog off screen while we're hitting the switch, and that basically means trying to put it where it was. Nice bridge section here. The dog is a little bit far away, really hard to control where the dog ends up. It just sort of bounces around in the water. But it was good. I've been optimizing my movement here in terms of how I use my boost energy, and it's been paying off recently. So we do good. That fox straight up almost killed me. But it didn't, and close doesn't matter. So the run continues. The engine room, we skip pretty much everything in this level. The first puzzle where you have to pick up this sort of clear box and put it on the beam thingy right there. We skip by just tail whipping the scientist. That causes it to give us the key card. Collect the key card because we have to. But then right here we do a cutscene skip. Swap out of the fox back into it as the cutscene starts so that we can continue moving during the cutscene. We don't actually skip the cutscene. Don't at me. But yeah, we move through the level during this cutscene, and even though we don't know where we are, I've done this plenty of times, so I more or less know how to move. Not perfectly, but pretty well. So yeah, and then we just open the door here, and then we do a trick called Leap of Fox, which allows us to skip having to hit this switch earlier using the racing dog, which allows us to skip having to be the racing dog in the first place. Leap of Fox is where you just sort of boost into this wall and you glitch up on top of it. It looks like this. Leap of Fox or a Leap of Dog actually is used in 99%, but otherwise this trick is used in every category. So variations of the same trick anyway. So yeah, still here we're ahead of goal, which is nice. And now we're on Fat Bear Mountain, which is probably like the first really hard level, I would say, in the run. A little bit of bounces there. It is possible to hit this dog one cycle earlier. I've done it a couple of times now, but again, AC is a lot better at it than me. It saves, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds? I don't know how long one of these dog cycles is, but if you hit the dog right, then it will get back onto its cycle again faster, and you did hit it twice, so I call that fast second cycle. I didn't get the early first cycle, but I did get fast second cycle, so that's good. And then of course you do a cutscene skip there, so you can kill the bear during the cutscene. That cutscene skip is frame perfect, and here we actually try to kill the bear on the switch, and then if we hit the bear, or if we hit the switch as the dog while the bear is on the switch, that counts. Normally you have to play as the bear to do that, but whatever. I tried to swap into the mouse during that cutscene, but I sort of failed, so it doesn't really matter. It's just easier to do this jump as the mouse. But I got it first try as the dog, so not really any different. Absolutely nailed that level, though. Saving time relative to goal, which means I did a good job. Rocky Hard Place, so you go from a pretty difficult level. Rocky Hard Place is another one of these. It's basically an auto-scroller. There are ways to speed it up, of course, because it's not literally an auto-scroller. But if you play the level properly, it should go really smoothly. And you'll probably lose no more than 2 seconds relative to your best pace ever. You just got to boost into the pen, which skips pretty much the entire level. And then you activate, or you can clip over that fence, call that the grav clip. And that just deactivates the gravity so that you can, move across the level even faster than you already could. I wonder if you don't even have to do that. We've never really tried, I don't think. You probably do. Because getting from this switch back to the teleporter with the... basically, you'd have to do this jump right here, and I don't think there's any way you'd make that without the gravity off. Anyway, I don't know if I saved time. I saved a little bit of time relative to my PB, and of course a lot of time relative to goal. So good level. Great level. Stinky Sewers, one of 2 levels where the teleporter doesn't activate based on the number of objectives you've completed. Oof, a little bit of a bonk there. Not great, but also not the worst. We can skip into the King Rat's lair by pushing this barrel into the water. We call this trick Up Dog. You just run the dog into the barrel, and you go up. You're good to go. The game tries to stop you from doing this by putting a bar in the way. That was also really sloppy. This bar, but if you just go backwards through it, then the game lets you through. So, not a big deal. But yeah, I wasted a lot of missiles trying to backwards boost, which is faster. I just turned too early, and so... it was slow. It was slow. 3 volleys here against the King Rat. King Rat sort of in an okay-ish spot. It'd be better if it walked closer to me, but as long as it doesn't go behind the toilet, I'm pretty happy. And it didn't. The reason I was swapping out of the dog and back into it is because Evo will recharge the B button ability energy faster than the racing dog does, and so you can recharge faster and shoot more missiles faster if you do it that way. And then, yeah, just carrying on to the exit here. Haven't completed any objectives. The teleporter activates when the King Rat goes through this gate. This sort of just happens to complete the objective, but you don't technically have to complete this objective to activate the teleporter. It just sort of happens as, you know, like a side benefit, I guess. I will point out, I guess, that I have my input display on the bottom left, so you can sort of see what I'm doing. It's nice for viewers, I suppose. Rat-o-matic is the other level where you don't need to complete any objectives to activate the teleporter, and in this case the teleporter is just always active from the start of the level. And we skipped the whole thing. Do we do the same thing in Silver Evo? I think so. We don't get any power cells in this level. Oh no, we get 1. But it's basically the same level. You can kill the mouse through this door by just farting at it, and you can swap through the door as well. So I kill the mouse as it's sort of pressed up against the door and go through it, so we can skip playing as a fox to hit that switch that actually opens the door properly. And then we glitch out of the Rat-o-matic here by basically starting that cutscene on the target and then being off of the target when the cutscene ends. And I do it in a specific direction because that's the direction I want to go when I pop out of the Rat-o-matic, so it's slightly faster to do it that direction. Maybe like a second faster than any other direction. But the important part is that you get out of the Rat-o-matic. So there I go. And we're good to go. You can get through this door here by just going into the left side and sort of wiggling around till you go through. And then this trick is called gate skip. If you line yourself up properly and bounce off a wall, you can get over the gate. Like so. That doesn't actually save as much time as you might think it does, mostly because the setup takes so long. If you didn't have to set that trick up, it would be a lot faster, but it still saves like 5 to 7 seconds, I guess. Then give a dog a... I'm pretty sure I nail this level. Pretty sure I get a 124, which is tied for the fastest I've ever done this, I think. The task gets a 122, and I think AC also has a 122, so AC is as good as the task. That's, oh jeez. I don't know how. Yeah, that boost that I just got, not this one, the one before it, is really tricky to keep going the right direction towards the ring. So you have to really have precise control of your movement in order to keep the dog flying the right direction. And I nailed it, that time anyway. And then flying around this barrier here lets you shoot the dogs through it, and they also sort of group up against the wall. And you kill them, you're good to go. That was pretty fast. The faster that goes, usually the better your time. I tried to kill the dog through the wall. It ended up killing itself at the end, so that's good. And then you just sort of do a little loop-de-loop here, have the foxes kill each other, and then hike up against the wall, and then you get to kill them again. Grab some boosts, and you are golden. 124. This is not a gold split, but it could have been, I guess. I don't think I ever got a 123, but there's a lot of lag in this level that you just don't really control whether or not it shows up. And so I probably just had a lot of lag. I don't know. Snow Joke is another level that should be pretty easy. You tend not to lose time in this level. And when you do, it really sucks. I think I screw up a little bit? I do screw up a little bit there. I think I thought I killed the husky, but I didn't, and so I had to like throw more snowballs, but I was also trying to swap into the husky, and so I didn't swap into the husky because it wasn't dead yet, and then I killed it but stopped trying to swap in. I don't know. Anyway, a little bit of a screw up, but not critical. So I'll lose maybe 2 seconds here. Maybe 2 seconds, maybe 1 second, 2 seconds. 1.5. We'll split the difference. 1.5. But still saving time relative to goal. Again, my goal splits are kind of arbitrary. You should never lose time to goal in Snow Joke. One of the things I've been focusing on in Ice and Easy Does It is killing these rabbits quickly, and that basically involves letting go of B and moving towards the rabbits a little bit more deliberately so that you can control the fight a little bit better. The husky moves faster if you hold B, but you sort of lose some of your control there, and so I let go of B in between, you know, rabbit jumps so that I can control myself a little bit better, and it seems to be working out for me, so I like it. This trick is cliff clip, and I get it first try, so there you go. That trick is a lot easier on Silver Evo and 99% because you grab that power cell that's in the water there, and then you can do a different setup for it. But in any percent, you just sort of have to, you know, blast your way towards the wall and then hope that you get the right height. It's just more consistent, the Silver Evo 99% way. But it's slower. In any percent, it's slower anyway. A really good movement as the Heli Rabbit overall. And this is almost a gold? No, it's not almost a gold, but I save a lot of time. So here, if you look at the possible time save, that's how much time my gold split has saved relative to my personal best. And so there's 27 seconds. My PB, the seagull flew away. I had a lot of problems with my controller. The analog stick kept getting stuck in the up position, and that caused me to walk forward even though I wasn't trying to. And then the seagull flew away. So that was unfortunate, we'll say. But then I figured out the problem and fixed my controller, and I haven't had any controller stick issues since. So we're good to go. I think something happens here as well. Oh yeah, the seagull is pretty far away from the switch, but it's actually in a really good spot in that it's closer to me. The closer it is, the better, at least to an extent. And it still hit the switch, so basically I should try to do that more often. And I actually recommend other people try to do that too if they're speedrunning. If you're not speedrunning, then do whatever you want, because it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the reason why you want it closer to you is so you can swap into it as fast as possible. But as long as you get on the teleporter before it activates, then you know you did it as fast as possible. If you get it on sooner than that, it doesn't matter because it's still not activated yet. I'm doing the new animal cutscene skip route, or Knack skip route, which involves going to Playpen and then switching to the jungle right after. So I'm going to the jungle here. It loses a little bit of time because of menuing, but it saves time as well because you get to skip 2 new animal cutscenes. So it's a little bit debatable as to whether or not this route is faster, but what's not debatable is that this route is more enjoyable to play because you get a little bit more variety. This is elephantless setup, and I do what we've basically called the suicide strat because this trick almost kills you. You can see I have very little health left. There is the Evo launch strat that C# invented, which is a lot safer, but it's a little bit slower and it becomes more difficult to kill both of those hyenas at the same time. You don't have to back out of the water here, though. I back out of the water because of how little health I have. The piranhas, they get any attacks on me, I basically die. So to play it safe, I go out of the water. Little bonk there, that's unfortunate. But yeah, with the Evo launch strat, you have basically full health at this point. So you don't need to back out of the water. You can just sort of YOLO kill the piranhas. And if you're wondering what the new animal cutscene is, that's just the first, when you swap into an animal for the first time, it'll show a cutscene that starts explaining its stats and whatnot. So you will see one for the hippo right here, and for the hyena too. One of the more recent things we've been trying to do is figure out how to do a fast push on the hippo. I sort of came up with a setup, but now it looks like Yaiko might have an even more consistent setup that's even easier to explain. I don't know. All that matters is that it works. And it worked this time anyway. The faster you can push the hippo, the closer you can get to this switch, but also the closer you can get the hyena to the wall. And if you get the hyena perfectly against the wall, then swapping into the hyena will push the hippo perfectly into the position it needs to be to do the hippo jump. Otherwise, you have to push the hippo so that its front legs disappear, and then you do the hippo jump. But if you have everything just right, then you don't even need to do that. And that's all thanks to the fast push. Which isn't really a new thing, it's just that, like, making it consistent is a new thing. I used to never be able to get it, but now I get it most of the time, maybe all the time, I don't know. Here, again, we're jumping out of the animal and back into it because Evo recharges ability energy faster. I'm also jumping on the parrot a little bit. You don't do, like, stomp damage, but every time you hit an animal, you do little nicks of damage. And every little thing adds up, so I do that. The other thing about laughing is that if the animal is off screen, then it will stay in the laughing state. Normally you have to like laugh at it for 3 seconds before it starts taking damage. But if it's off screen, then it will never stop laughing, and then you can just sort of laugh in general. This is a new swamp route right here. Yaiko found it. He calls it Swamp by Jump, which is a fun name, so that's what it is. It's just a different way of getting to the gorillas that doesn't result in you taking a lot of damage. It should also be slightly faster. But this is not a very good gorilla fight right now. And I almost pushed that gorilla into the swamp, which could have instantly ended the run. But I didn't, so we're good to go. The other thing I've been doing very recently, like literally started doing this 2 weeks ago. I got this world record about a week ago, by the way. So by 2 weeks ago, I mean like pretty much this was one of the first times I've ever done it. Is zooming the camera out so that you have a better view of the hippo fight. Normally we zoom the camera in, hoping to reduce lag a little bit. But if you zoom the camera out, you can see the gorilla and it's better. But yeah, from here we just we did the Evo, or not the Evo jump, gorilla jump to activate the magic rope, and then play as the hyena and the gorilla, and then just do another gorilla jump to get to the teleporter. There is a faster route here, but it's very dangerous, so I don't do it. And it's only really faster if everything goes great for you. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't do it. So here's the hot new speed tech. This is a Knack boost. We're going to roar as the lion, and then let this Knack play a little bit. And that builds up backwards momentum from the roar, and it launches you across the level and up to the parrot. And so this route is easier than the previous one and faster. So we do it. It's a little bit more boring though, and you will see why in a sec. It doesn't involve the YOLO fish, like you may have seen in... Like Silver Evo has YOLO fish, I think. Maybe 99% as well? I kind of forget. Yeah, 99% as well. Any percent used to, but now it just... We basically beat the level the way it's intended. After getting the parrot, that is. Getting to the parrot, clearly not intended. But yeah, this is sort of the boring part here. Mostly you're focused on going in a straight line and trying to make sure that your height is good for swapping into the elephant. Not as easy as you might think, but, you know, we do our best. And then you swap to the elephant, and now you just sort of walk to the teleporter. You hold Z so that you can make sure you're walking directly to the teleporter instead of having to wiggle around and adjust your angle. It takes a while. But yeah, it is faster. It is faster. And I beat that level quite well, so saved quite a bit of time. 1 second off gold. And then we go to Jungle Jumps, which is probably the second biggest time loss level in terms of like not BS time losses. Like Whirlwind Tour, if you miss Whirlwind Tour, skip a bunch. That doesn't really feel like you played poorly or anything. That just... the game just didn't want you to win, basically. But pretty much everything about Jungle Jumps is difficult to do fast. This hyena fight is difficult to do fast. We used to have to do the hyena jump, which is like the hippo jump, except with a hyena. And that was really hard. Yeah, this hyena fight, not going so great, actually. And here, I kind of just like struggle to kill this hyena. I can't get a good angle. I'm really bad at controlling the analog stick. So it gets to the point where I just straight up hold Z to aim, which is not great. And this, we call this the jumps jump. Saves some time. You can get the double gorilla here. If you line the gorillas up just perfectly, you can hit both of them with the same missiles. You almost never get this, but because this is the world record, I got it. Look at that, the perfect 2.0 double gorilla. Nailed it. And then this last one is the key jump, which is quite difficult, but totally within your control, I guess. Maybe it's not as difficult as, it's not quite difficult, it's just a little bit difficult. I don't know, it screws up a lot of runs. And if you miss it, you lose like maybe 20 seconds of time. But I nailed it. And so because the hyena fight was bad, I lost some time. But thankfully, got the double gorilla. Nailed key jump. Everything else was, you know, sort of by the books. So yeah. Evo's Escape. I've started skipping the first chameleon there because I can never kill it. And the chameleons do cause lag. So if I kill it, then the lag is justified. But if I can't kill it, then the lag is not justified. So it's better to just sort of skip it. The second chameleons, I can always kill the second one, so I get that one. But yeah, most of the points come from the fish and then the turtles in the shooting gallery. But you do need to kill at least one of those hyenas, at least optimally, because you need 12,100 points, not 12,000 points. And so each fish and turtle gives 500 points, which would give you 12,000 points if you kill the right number. And then you just need, you know, an extra 100 points from one of the hyenas. But you try to kill both just because maybe you screw up and then that extra 100 points will come in handy. You never know. So yeah, this second fish pit, it's a lot more difficult to kill the fish. Let's see how good I do here. 1, 2, 3. Looks like 3. Whereas the previous one, you can always kill all of them. But yeah, here you aim for the turtles, because the turtles and the chameleons are both worth 500 points. It's just that the turtles are a lot easier to kill because they're closer to you and they're bigger. So it's just really, why would you aim for the chameleons ever? You can kill all 5. So the way it goes is 5 turtles and then an upgrade box, and then 5 turtles and then an upgrade box. You can kill all 5 before the upgrade box comes. Quite difficult though, so usually what I try to do is kill 2, skip 1, kill 2, skip 1. Kind of depends on how I'm doing though. So here I'm doing kill 3, skip 1, and then kill 1. Sort of screwed that up too though. But if you do really well, you can kill all 5, and that's why I try to do kill 3 if the first 2 go well. And then if the third one goes well and the fourth one goes well, and then the 5th one goes well, you're good to go. Save some time. But yeah, the faster you do that, that whole section is a little bit laggy. So the faster you do it, the less lag you have, and then the faster you're beating the level. But yeah, once you have 12,100 points, or in this case 12,200 points, you just stare at the roof until the end of the level. So yeah, you're holding B the whole time because that makes the camera go faster. And that's, apart from lag reduction, the only thing you can do to speed this level up. Actually, there is one other thing you do to speed the level up, which is just to make sure that you kill Evo as fast as possible, or before your auto-scroll section ends, which is pretty easy to do as well. So yeah, really easy to hold B, really easy to look at the roof, and really easy to kill Evo within the required amount of time. So just the sooner you can start looking up, the better. But you can never start looking up before the shooting gallery. So it doesn't really matter. Oh, at the end of the day, even if you eat a little bit of lag, it's like half a second, maybe a full second, whatever. It's not like you don't lose, 10, 15 seconds on other levels. Like, I lost 13 seconds relative to gold on jungle jumps, so what's 5 seconds here? Or not, 5 seconds would be a lot. What's a couple seconds here? Fun in the Sun has a new strat relative to the last time I did any percent. This is something found by C#. It's called Cactus Jump. Instead of going the normal direction, we're going to go to this cactus, and if you jump on top of the cactus and then walk a little bit off of it, you'll end up like halfway down the cactus, and then if you walk back into the cactus, you get launched into the air and you can go out of bounds like so. And that lets you walk straight to this 4th valve, which is now valve 1 because we're going the wrong way here. And so you sort of complete these objectives out of order. The cutscene for this doesn't play, because that cutscene won't play until you activate this cutscene. I also swapped out there and back into the animal, just to get the new animal cutscene there, and that sets up for later in Jurassic Park, where I do a different cutscene skip that you can only get if you have watched that new animal cutscene. Pump jump here, a little bit tricky, but not too bad, actually, if you know what you're doing. So, nailed that level. That's good. But now, remember we skipped the second half of the Arctic because we were doing the Knack skip route. Now it's time to go back. So if things work out, we will not see the King Penguin new animal cutscene, and we will not see the Cool Cod new animal cutscene. So here's the King Penguin. Loop around. Kill it. As you do. That was a really good kill. Big fan. And yeah, swap in. First time we're playing as the King Penguin, but no new animal cutscene. And yeah, we don't really know exactly what makes that work. We know why it happens to the King Penguin and the Cool Cod, specifically, but we don't know what actually triggers it to skip the cutscene. I don't know. I think it has something to do with Evo's escape. But yeah. Pinball Blizzard, also kind of a boring level. Just like Evo's escape. The only thing you hope for is a good King Penguin kill, which I absolutely nailed. Then you just walk in a straight line as much as possible. And then hope for a good pattern here on the piano. So hitting this first note is a good sign. Well, it's not the worst pattern, but it could still actually be the second worst pattern. Could be the second or fourth best pattern. Or the best pattern. And this is actually the second worst pattern, so alas. And when I say fourth best, that's actually also third worst. I don't know. There were only 6 patterns, but yeah, this pattern we call El Clasico. The reason why it's slow is because this second note, going from the first note to the second note, like it's relatively slow. Now we have to play the first note to second note 5 times, right? And so that's basically 5 slow notes, and then actually a 6th slow note on the last note. Whereas the fastest pattern, there are actually 0 slow notes. The second fastest pattern has 1 slow note right at the end. And that's just sort of how you count it, is how many times do you have to have a small delay between the notes that you play. And in this case, you have it 5 times, which is not great. Not great. I will say that we are now about 40 minutes into this run, and I am still ahead of goal, which is really good. And also, I also have something that is called best split times, and I'm in the green by 10 seconds, which means that I'm 10 seconds faster than the fastest I've ever played up to this point. So if the run were to end right now, this would have been a personal best. But of course, you know, the run, I have to go all the way to the end. So if this run dies, then this becomes my best, you know, or my new best pace ever. This is kind of like a, you know, I'm on PB. This is like my personal best halfway through the game, instead of all the way through the game, which is really the only point that counts. But still feels good to be on your fastest pace of ever. Feels good. And then, of course, there are the other 2 stats. Best possible time is a 1:05, which means that if I get the same speed as all of my gold splits, then I will get a 1:05. Of course, I won't get that, but theoretically possible. And then there's also the PB chance, which is something I started using recently. The game basically simulates 10,000 runs starting from this point, and however many of those runs get a PB, sort of counts that as the PB chance. So this right now, it's giving me a 5% chance approximately. And that's probably just because of Whirlwind Tour. If you get Whirlwind Tour skip first try, then you're good to go. If you don't, then you're bad. I don't know. This Husky gives me some problems. Shoot. This level all about managing your ammo, and of course moving without hesitation. So I really like this level, Hoppa Choppa. There's a lot of optimization you can do. I missed the fast fall as well. If you just clip the side of that cliff as you fall down, you'll get you will fall faster than the Helly Rabbit normally falls. I just missed it. Something fishy, you swim faster if you spam A instead of hold A. You can also swim up and down faster if you reset the neutral position of the analog stick. You do this by pushing LR and start. That's just a default N64 programming behavior. You know, sometimes the analog stick goes haywire, and so you have to push LR and start to reset its neutral position. But you can abuse that a little bit by moving, you know, the analog stick in any direction and then setting that direction to neutral. Normally the analog stick goes to a value of plus or minus 90, I think. Or maybe it's like plus 90 minus 89, or plus 89 minus 90. I don't know exactly. But about 90. But the real range is up to 128. You can just only access that range if you do a neutral reset. And most games, I think, it doesn't matter. And in SSSV, it almost never matters, except for when you're playing as a fish and you're moving up or down. Then the neutral reset will allow you to move up or down faster. So that's what I'm doing here. And I've started focusing on turning as I hit these switches. So it used to be that you would just sort of go head first into them, and then when you hit them, you would basically stop dead in your tracks. And then you'd have to do a full 180 and start swimming again, which is not super fast. Instead, I like to turn 90 degrees and then hit the switch with the side of the fish so that I bounce off it and keep swimming. Looks something like this, right? So that's faster, and I've been really focusing on doing that. And it's good. So what this one ends up being, what, tied with my gold split? Maybe only a little, like 1 second lost? I don't know. Let's find out. Yeah, 0.1 second off my gold, which is basically, you know, human error in terms of whether or not I split at the appropriate time. But really close anyway. And again, still in the green relative to gold. So this run is really good. Really good. My previous PB, actually, the one that I'm going against right now, did the levels in a different order. And actually, Wall Race was one of the last levels. And I was on a really good pace on my PB. So I was super nervous at this point. And I'm almost never nervous in Wall Race. Usually I get my nerves on Punch Up Pyramid, where, you know, normally Punch Up Pyramid is one of the last levels. So I'm used to playing Punch Up Pyramid with nerves. Nerves are, of course, never fun to play with, but whatever. But I'm just not used to playing Wall Race with nerves, and it just caused me to choke quite a bit. And that's why there's 9 seconds to save here instead of like the usual 4 or 5, because I was nervous and I played poorly. Same thing actually with Something Fishy. I was nervous, so I played poorly. And I'm usually never nervous on Something Fishy because it's usually never one of the last levels. But again, that gives me, you know, a lot of optimism for this run, because I know that I'm ahead of my PB already, and my PB played poorly, so I should save time. Nailed it. You can move during this cutscene, starting when the camera swings around, so you can pick up this trophy, and if you use the audio cue, you can hear it. There you hear it get picked up, and you actually can still see it because of how quickly I picked it up. And then you try to move onto the teleporter before the cutscene ends. I didn't quite make it, but I got onto it right after the cutscene ended. So that was a really good Wall Race. Saving time relative to goal equals good. And that's the point of the goal splits. But yeah, so now back to the desert to finish off the game. Hot Cross Buns. A lot of Hot Cross Buns is just trying to kill these foxes properly, and vulture. Normally you try to shoot around that front fox, but I failed completely, and that front fox tanked all of the attacks. And so that was actually a really slow fox fight, and as a result, I started the vulture fight late, and so that was kind of slow too. I took 1 hit of damage against the vulture. If you take 2, you need to get health. Otherwise, you will die when you blow up the speakers. Because from here on out, we're going to blow up 3 more speakers as the fox. And the speakers will damage you if you're too close to them when they blow up. So you're going to take damage as the fox. And yeah, 2 hits from the vulture is enough to kill you, whereas 1 hit is just barely not enough to kill you. And the thing is, there is a health that is convenient to get in this level, but sometimes it will just sort of go into this whirlpool that I'm trying not to look at right now, flying over top of it. I try not to look at that because it's the source of most of the lag in this game, you know? So I just never look at it. But if the health goes into that whirlpool, you might just be dead because the fox takes damage in the water. But even if you're not dead and you do get the health, it's really slow. But yeah, here's the health box. But even now, the health didn't go in a good direction, so I'm just not going to grab it. Whatever. I don't need the health, so I'll skip it. What I did as the vulture there, right at the end, was hitbox extension downward through the floor to hit that last switch. But yeah, you see here, just enough health to survive. And if I had taken 1 more hit from the vulture, I would have been dead. But yeah, because I had such a poor start with the fox kill, I lost 10 seconds relative to PB, and what's that, 13 seconds relative to goal? Kind of rough. So no longer in the green relative to goal. Goal, as I said, you basically have to make no real mistakes. You can make small, movement errors, or bumping into a wall, or having to go a little bit out of your way to grab health at some point. But no major mistakes in order to tie the goal split. And I made a major mistake there, so I lost a lot of time. Hard to do a perfect run. What can I say? Hard to do a perfect run. You jump a little bit higher if you do a spin attack, and that lets you easily jump onto that platform. I call it the Shaw jump, because either Shaw Lightning did it first, or I was inspired by Shaw Lightning to do that jump. So, shoutouts to Shaw Lightning. One thing I've been focusing on a lot right here is just trying to kill these vultures faster, which basically involves me playing a little bit more aggressively than I used to. But it's paying off. I think if you wanna be the best, you have to take risks like that and not just sort of casually do things. You gotta actually try to go fast. Imagine. So Jurassic Park, my PB absolutely nailed this. And I'm worried right now because I'm not very good at this. It mostly has to do with this cutscene skip right at the start. This is the reason why I swapped out of the fox before. But yeah, you can see I just failed it. But when I was doing this run live, this was almost a calming mistake to make. Because there's when you're doing so well, you think there's no way it's going to be this good. Something bad is going to happen, and you're just sort of dreading that moment where you screw up and your run goes from good to dead. This was a big mistake, and it's sort of okay, this was the bad thing that was going to happen. Now I can just sort of focus and play my game. That's sort of how I felt. So psychologically, that mistake was a good thing, even though practically it was a bad thing. This run would have been way better if I didn't make that mistake. But those cutscene skips are 1 frame perfect. The one in Fatbear Mountain is. This one might be 1 or 2 frames, sort of depending, because the camera actually grows and shrinks in size. And so depending on whether it's growing or shrinking, you might have a 1 frame or a 2 frame window. I don't know. Either way, for some reason, I'm worse at the Jurassic Park one, even though it might actually be a little bit easier So here, that dinosaur on the left, if it wasn't so early, it would have been faster for me to jump on its head and onto the thing. It's called the Jurassic jump. But if you miss it, it's probably a better idea to just sort of go around, because waiting for it to get up is basically RNG. You can actually die from the other two dinosaurs burning you down. So I just go around. It is also really laggy in that dinosaur pit. So if you go around, there's less lag. And even though it might look like the dinosaur pops up a bunch of times, if you had stayed in the pit, all of the lag would have just made it slower. So lost a lot of time relative to goal, and now I'm even in the red relative to PB. But I don't know. I don't mind, I mean, because my PB didn't have a great end game. So all I gotta do is nail Whirlwind Tour, which I know I'm gonna do, because there's no way I'm not gonna PB here. And I remember as soon as I got Whirlwind Tour first try, I was just certain that this was going to be a PB. I was certain this was going to be the world record. And there was just no way I was going to let this not be the world record. And actually, it was a little bit scary fighting those foxes. They almost killed me. And yeah, if you don't do that fight right, they will kill you. But they didn't this time, so we're good to go. Hot new speed tech coming up right here. This is brought to you by Yaiko. It's a slope jump. Slope jump is just where you jump at the top of a slope, and that lets you jump a little bit higher and right up there. Good to go. Super easy to do, actually. It's just not something we've ever done before. And so Yaiko found it. Saves probably 5 seconds, 6 seconds, maybe 7 seconds. Really easy. Big thanks to Yaiko. 7 seconds, free. Easy. And then you just do a turbo launch. Great strat, turbo launch. Love it. So I don't know if I'm going to save time here, or it looks like I am, but only a little bit. I guess if my fox fight was better, I would have almost golded that. But yeah, here, 17 seconds to save, and shifting sands is not really a difficult level to lose or save time on. So there is some RNG element to it, but my PB really botched this level. So I should always save time here. And that's another reason why I'm like, I know I'm going to PB. Bonking there was really bad. That cost me like 5 seconds, 4 seconds. I don't know. Really sloppy. But still, I'm going to save time. My PB is bad. There's no way I'm not getting the world record here. It's locked in. Shoutouts to TV Jump. This kangaroo fight, really important to do fast if you want to have a good time. And that was a reasonably fast fight. I think the vulture was a bit of a jerk here. It flew a little bit too high for me to hit it, and it's not... It's probably faster to just keep throwing and waiting for the vulture to fix itself than for you to stop jumping and try to like retime your jumps. It did do a little bit better there, where the last hit did double damage. It takes 5 throws of the boomerang to kill the vulture, but sometimes your boomerang does double damage. And so it's possible to kill it with only 3 hits, but that rarely happens. Sometimes it does 4 hits. But again, you know, that was a really bad level still, but save time. Of course I'm going to save time. I was up against my PB, which was a really bad shifting sands. Now, punch-up pyramid. Oh, man. I was really try-harding on punch-up pyramid here. And boy, did I nail it. So, punch-up pyramid is mostly about not wasting any punches, punching methodically. And then you also can jump on top of the animal to do just a sliver of damage. And that sliver of damage is all you need to save 1 punch. So I think it takes either 22 or 23 punches to kill an animal. but if you jump on it, then it's either 22 or 21 punches. And then on the 7 count of the camel, that's long enough for the kangaroo to enter its passive state. And when it's in its passive state, it does 7 punches. And those punches actually do damage, and it doesn't cost you punch energy. So that was a little bit of a sloppy fight. I missed a few punches, but I still killed the camel before the 30 count showed up. So that's still a good fight. And now I'm setting up for the AC camel, but it's kind of hard because the other camel was still there and getting in the way. AC camel is where you spawn the camel on top of your head. It teleports into the wall, and you sort of push it over the wall and just out of bounds. That puts the super camel in a sort of a glitch state. It breaks its AI, and it basically is just programmed to try to walk towards the center of the ring, and it can never get there because there's a wall in the way. This does 2 things. It keeps the camel in the same spot so that you can passive punch it. It also prevents the camel from teleporting, and while the camel is teleporting, it has invulnerability. So keeping it vulnerable is a good thing. And in this case, where the normal camel, you can only do passive punches on the 7 count, I also do passive punches on the 4 count here, because the camel can never really move, so you might as well do some passive punches while you wait for your energy to recharge. I don't do any jumping on the camel's head there to try to do little chip damage, which would save punches, but I used to do that, and one time that caused the camel to get pushed further out of bounds and down below the ring where I couldn't hit it anymore. And that basically soft locks the level. But look at this kangaroo fight. I think Cracker Bean has done a perfect kangaroo fight before, but I have never been able to do that. I don't think I've missed any punches yet, and I've been punching quite deliberately. So there was 1 missed punch right there. Only 1 missed punch so far. Again, you can do passive punches on the 7 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 passive punches, all hitting. With the kangaroo, the passive punches don't always hit. And so here, boom, I got it down before the 30 count, which is basically a task perfect kangaroo fight. And so I got a perfect kangaroo fight, a perfect super camel fight, a decent camel fight, maybe not perfect, but the camel fight fast enough. Before the 30 count on all 3 animals, absolutely destroyed that level. Gold split, and golded not just by like half a second, golded by 5 seconds. Huge. Again, remember I said there's no way I'm not PBing here. And I was tryharding like crazy. And now my PB, I'm ahead of my PB again. Best pace ever by 13.6 seconds. I got the tech swap glitch by doing level select. If you switch levels and select levels on the same frame into Big Celebration Parade, it will swap the text. In this case, because I'm going from punch up, it's swapping some punch up pyramid text. And that saves time because it stops Dan from talking. Nailed that first try though. And my PB didn't really have a great Big Celebration Parade. So there's 45 seconds to save here, and so I'm quite confident that this is the world record at this point. It's just a question of, is this going to be a great BCP, or a decent BCP, or just like an average BCP? As long as this isn't like an absolutely terrible BCP, this is the world record. And of course, since we have this video up here, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. But yeah, you kill the brain, you have to wait for the second text box to show up, and then you can restart the level to skip the cutscene of the space station crashing into Earth. And restarting the level still keeps the level select glitch active. I delay the animal spawns by walking a little bit to the left, and that's because Bronze Evo is kind of slow. And so the spot where I want to kill the flying dogs, if you spawn the animals quickly, it's really hard to get there fast enough. So just a small delay in animal spawning, so that lets me walk closer to where I want to be. Lets me set up the dogs a little bit easier. And I think these dogs might actually be a little bit sketchy. I forget. Oh yeah, I barely killed both of them, but I did get them, so it's fine. Unfortunately, because of how sketchy it was, I couldn't get a good setup for the fox. Not so important, because the fox will loop around in a sec, and we can kill it without losing that much time. But the king rat, roaming king rat, is right there. You just sort of lock it up against the water. So here comes the flying fox again. So I lost a little bit of time because I had to wait for that, but maybe like 2 or 3 seconds. What really pissed me off, though, is that there was only 6 sheep here. There's supposed to be 7 sheep plus the 2 sheep that start the level there, so 9 sheep total. But there was only 6. And that was really weird. I even like go out of my way because maybe they didn't spawn, and if you leave the area and come back, then they will spawn. But they're still not here, and I just don't know. So I just have to like just screw it. And if those sheep spawns cost me the record, I would have been livid. This was a really good mouse spawn though, because normally you go a lot further to the left there to look for mice, but they were all on the right side. So this one I just had to go back to kill it. But really good mouse spawns. Go to the frog section. And I know this is a good pace because of where this mouse is. This mouse is usually on the other side of the level. But now, I mean, maybe it's because the sheep didn't spawn and so I'm actually 3 animals behind. But whatever. I still like the pace I'm on. This sheep kind of screwed me over, but it ended up being a good thing for me. It runs away. And then this dog gets just sort of wrecked by the airplanes. It doesn't take any damage. But anyway, the reason why that sheep was a good thing is because it allowed me to kill that racing dog in a good spot. And then one thing that I do here, which in hindsight was slower, but you don't really know, I grab this energy right here. But there are no dogs in this area. I didn't know there were no dogs in this area. So it would have actually been faster for me to head right here and grab this energy instead, but I didn't know that all 3 of the remaining dogs were right there. So, you know, if I were doing a task and I saw that all of the dogs were over there, then I would have re-round and got that 1 energy instead of the other. But you just don't know where the dogs are, and so I did what probably was the right choice in terms of like odds and probability. Here I was like, there's no way I'm going to let these king rats get away from me. If you approach the king rats from the wrong angle, they will run basically away from you forever, and it'll cost you like 40 seconds trying to kill a king rat. So I spent a lot of time making sure that the king rats were going to move in a direction that gets them stuck, because I would have been triggered. Alright, one thing that did trigger me as well, you see the flying fox scream past me there. It's really hard to kill the flying fox unless it shows up in this bay area. And so I really, like, it can cost you a lot of time killing this flying fox. But I did manage to snag it. Oh no, it comes around a little bit again, but it doesn't take me that much longer to kill it. And that was the last animal. Bada bing, bada boom. 1:06.38. This is the first any percent SSSV speedrun that got sub 107. So there it is. Really good BCP. Actually, it was decent. We'll call it decent. There's still about 30 seconds I could have saved there if everything went smoothly. But yeah, this is actually also the first time that I have had the world record in all 3 of the categories that I run. That's any percent, Silver Evo, and 99%. So I don't really know what I'm going to do anymore because there's no records to grab. There is a 4th category called All Trophies that was started by Crackerbean and then built upon by C#. I kind of like that it's sort of the category that I don't do, though. It sort of represents, what SSSV would be if I didn't get involved, sort of a thing. So I like that, I think. I don't think I'm going to try for the All Trophies run. I'll leave that as, separate from me. I could do it, and I probably would get the world record, not because I'm so much better than everybody, but just because it's a less optimized category. So it probably wouldn't be super difficult if I really focused on it. But I'll leave it be. Shoutouts to Kathy. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.